Hey guys, welcome to Harry Dating Convos. This is the show where you learn how to be a more effective dater so you can get the women in your life that you truly want to get. I'm your host, as always, Harry Wilmington. Welcome. And on today's show, we're going to talk about why you need to avoid being like Jessica Alba by avoiding turning your partner into a roommate. So for those of you that have not heard, Jessica Alba is potentially getting divorced, and she chalks it up in part to there was a conversation she had earlier on, way before she got divorced, where she talked about this idea that her and her husband had become more like roommates. And so I want to talk about how that can be devastating to a relationship, because if you're not careful, you too will find yourself ending up in the same situation and not knowing where all the romance went, and your woman could potentially lose interest and want to divorce you or leave you if you're just in a long-term relationship. So we're going to talk about that. I have some other things I want to cover here. And of course, this show is all about you guys. So I want to answer your questions during the course of this show. If you have any questions, I am more than happy to answer them. So with that said, let's get into this episode of Harry Dating Convos. And as always, this show is brought to you by my website, harrywilmington.com. If you are a guy that's looking to level up your education in all things related to dating, romance, attraction, and of course, women, you can go to harrywilmington.com, check out my ebooks, my audiobooks, and my Get Girls Academy program, which you'll learn more about right about now. As always, this show is brought to you by Get Girls Academy, my exclusive program designed to help you attract, date, and keep the women you want. As a member, you'll gain access to proven strategies, insider tips, and bi-monthly group coaching sessions where we tackle your biggest questions live. Click the link in the description to learn more and join today. So yeah, you can go to the website, harrywilmington.com, to learn all about that. So before we get into the main topic of the show, we're going to go over a few comments that I got over this past week that I want to answer. And as always, guys, if you have any questions you want me to answer on the show, you can leave them in the chat and I will be happy to answer them. So let's go over a couple of questions that I got this week. So I got a question from a guy that said, can you do a video on how to beat the competition or how to win her over, the ex that she may still talk to? What has worked for you? So he's basically wondering, if she has an ex that's still in the picture, what can I do in order to prevent her from wanting to go back to him and instead focus more on me and us and our connection? So I will be honest, I learned this from the late, great Doc Love a long time ago, and it is a strategy that I have found has caused way less tension and just way less confusion and chaos overall. And it is simply this, that I do not deal with women that still have exes lurking in the background. I do not care if she, had an ex that she had a kid with. For one, I'm not trying to deal with anybody else's kids, so she's already out. But besides that, I've just found that if I'm trying to deal with a woman that still has an ex lurking somewhere in the background, it's probably not going to work out. Either she's going to be still trying to bring him around and do stuff, or she's going to try to, not necessarily incorporate me, but still be talking about him nonstop, which means on some level, he's still in the brain, and or there's a chance that she has unresolved feelings. And this is especially true. This is especially true if she was the one that got dumped. If she got dumped, I got news for you, guy. She is going to probably still be pining for that other guy. And so she's keeping the ex in the background in hopes that should he decide to change his mind about her and want to come back, that she is open and willing to do that. So yeah, while she's waiting for that, she will take on other suitors potentially, but that does not mean that she has a strong interest in making it work with you because she has this other guy in the background. And you can tell this happens when you're dating a girl, for example, and you notice she's still talking to the ex on the phone or still looking at social media, or let's say her ex is part of her hangout group, right? So she might be like, well, I'm not trying to see my ex, but, he's going to be there because of X, Y, and Z reason. But then you're not getting invited to go along because, because the group doesn't know you like that and whatever. That is her trying to spend some free time around her ex in hopes of trying to win him back. All right. And so I just found that I'm not in the habit of trying to win women over that purposely have exes in the background, because it's a losing battle. You're new stimuli. You're going up against the guy that's been there for a long time. And I don't care what kind of sob story a woman comes to you with. Oh, he abused me. Oh, the bottom line is she still keeps him around in spite of whatever she allegedly said that he did that was, toxic or tragic or whatever. And that's not a good thing, Now, here's the other thing though. Let's say for argument's sake, a woman just got out of a relationship, right? So she got out of the relationship and maybe her ex isn't in a friend group, not in the background, but you're thinking, okay, like you go on a first date with her and she tells you, I just got out of a relationship. A lot of guys think when they hear that they need to do all the things to try to rush her back into a relationship. And in the process of doing that, guys will start doing the most, and the woman feeling that, oh, this guy's doing a whole lot and it's causing a lot of pressure and I don't want pressure, they will start to back away. And when that happens, guys will go, why is she pushing me away? Is it because she's still hung up on her ex? And what my answer honestly is no, because I've dated women before who had just gotten out of a relationship like anywhere from a month ago to like 6 months ago. And in those situations, I was able to eventually end up in a relationship with them. How did I do that? Well, for one, I wasn't trying to rush them into a relationship. I understood that them having just gotten out of a relationship, the worst thing I could do is try to rush in there and be like, oh, you just lost a relationship. Well, I'll be the pickup guy. That was never going to work. And so what I found is that the less pressure I added to a situation with a woman that just got out of a relationship, the more it would make her come to me. So for example, I've never been the guy that's going to stay on the phone, texting a woman nonstop, hour after hour, trying to have a conversation. I found that by lessening my texting, it does what? It makes her have to reach out to me. And if she's chasing you, she can't be replacing you. So you guys that are trying to rush these women in right away and then wondering why she's leaving, it's because you're adding pressure. And that girl would have gone away from you whether she had had a previous relationship or not, right? But suffice to say, you have to always let women come at you at their pace. If they're saying yes to dates with you, then you're already winning. You're already winning and ahead of like 97% of other guys simply because she said yes to you for a first date. And from then, you just keep the momentum going, but you do it at a pace that's comfortable. This is why I tell you guys, when you go on a date, don't text her for like 4 days after. Give her time to miss you, to think about you, but more importantly, allow her to see that you are in effect not trying to rush this process. You're not trying to rush her to get onto the second date. You're not trying to force her to communicate with you on a day-to-day basis right away because she just got out of doing that with her ex, and then you trying to suddenly get her on a new texting schedule when she still has residual feelings for the ex and is still trying to get over the ex is only going to make this feel like you're trying to pressure her. No, you relieve all the pressure. You show her enough interest to let her know that you want to take her out, but you don't pile on so much that she starts feeling like this feels just like the last guy I dated, and this feels awkward, and this is too much pressure, and I'm out. So in terms of how to win her over for her versus her ex, it's very simple, is that you don't try to win her over. You show up on dates the best way you possibly can. You follow if you go to my website, Get Girls Academy, and you join, you'll learn the 3-month schedule of how you should be asking for dates and how you should be pacing this thing out in order to get her to want to choose you. Because at the end of the day, you cannot negotiate your way into a woman's heart. She has to choose you. But you can know the right pacing to where she starts to feel as though it's her decision and that she's choosing you and that she's not quite sure where your feelings are for her, which is a good thing, because if she feels as though your feelings are already there faster than she's ready for, then that's going to also feel like too much pressure. And you can map it out in a way that's going to get you the results that you effectively want from the women that you're trying to date, even if they had an ex that they just got rid of like last week. I've literally dated women that they got rid of their exes anywhere from 2 weeks to like a month prior, and I was able to get them into a relationship in part because I wasn't rushing the process. I wasn't coming in and saying, well, just if we make out or hook up or whatever, we're in a relationship. No. If anything, I was like, look, I'm chill doing whatever we're doing right now until you're comfortable. And like clockwork, because I tell you guys all the time, it takes women 2 to 3 months to solidify their feelings. Like clockwork with these women, 2.5 months, 3 months in, Harry, so I just want to know, like, what are we doing? And again, you would think this girl just got out of a relationship. Why is she coming to me suddenly asking me for one? It's because I waited. I took my time. I showed her I was interested, but that there was no pressure to have to date me. I think too many guys give women the feeling of, oh, this guy's definitely saying that I have to date him and I have to choose him and he's going to be butthurt and devastated if I don't choose him. And ironically, you thinking, you're trying to tell women, well, if I don't date you, then I'll be heartbroken, thinking that that's going to make them be like, oh, he'll be heartbroken. I have to choose him. You know what it actually does? It says to women, oh my God, too much pressure, back off. He's needy. He's desperate. And then that'll make them ghost you faster. Okay. So don't try to win these people over. Just show up doing what you're supposed to be doing on dates, which is showing them a good time, have some good hookups with them, space the days between your dates so they don't feel like you're over pressuring them, and then do that. And you will find that as they get more comfortable with you and as they get more and more over their ex, they will start to come to you and ask for more of your time. They will be the ones to reach out to you to do more and more texting. And that's how it should be for any woman, but especially with women that just got out of a relationship. So hopefully that answers this guy's question. And thank you for asking it, because that was a great question to ask. Okay. We have a comment in the chat. Comment says, obviously you are already very experienced in relationships, so it may not affect you, but what do you think of all those stupid social media posts that state she's cheating on you if, etc.? You can see how that nonsense can mess with people, especially in the algorithm. So many salty folks commenting and people don't know any better but run with it. Those posts and content creators are horrible. Wait, what's this say? Social media posts that state like she's cheating on you if, so like those things like she's cheating on you if she does X, Y, and Z and blah, 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 blah. Look, real talk, social media at its core is designed to make money. And they figured out things that it's not even about the post, because like I can make a post that says that same thing, but it's like the question is the algorithm going to see my post and then say, oh, we want to promote more of that because it's causing worry and anxiety, and it's going to cause people to not want to date, which is going to keep them on our app, which is going to allow us to advertise more to them and get their money. Like that's what these things are. And people have found out also that, real talk, people like negativity. So people are always wondering, well, how can I tell if she's cheating on me or not? Oh, here's a post that says that. Now let's go to Pinterest and see like 10 more posts, and then we could do a scientific experiment. So understand these algorithms, they don't care about you. They care about your money. And so when you see posts like that, and it's not to say that some of the things in those posts aren't true. Like if I saw a list that says she's cheating on you if she's constantly texting her ex behind your back, that would be actually true, you know? But to have that be a thing that's just constantly on social media, it's giving everybody a false read about what's actually going on. Like it's funny because like, you know, obviously I do this show, right? So the online world of dating will make you believe that people across the world just suck. And to some level, maybe they do, you know? But they'll have you think that every single girl out there is a gold digger. Every single woman out there has to have a guy that's 6 feet or higher, has 6 figures, has 6 inches, blah, blah, blah. And I have found in the real world, that is not true. Like I have found most women want a guy that's just going to be nice to them. Yes, not walk all over you nice, but like is going to treat them like a woman, is going to respect them, is going to be able to set boundaries, but not in a way that's like threatening or demeaning and stuff like that. Like I found most women, surprisingly, to be relatively sane. Does that mean there are no insane women? No, there are a lot of them, but as I've learned, there are also a lot of insane men. I was talking to a woman at work today who was telling me about a guy that she used to date that was able to sweet talk her out of her money. And he was like this guy that I don't think he was selling bad stuff or anything like that, but he was just a lazy bum. Oh, she said that he cut hair, which was great, but he could make money at it, but he decided not to do that and would just sit around and smoke drugs all day. Like, so women are having their situations too. But we on both of our teams are like, but our team has it harder. And the reality is people in general can sometimes suck, but not at the level that you think, to where there's just nobody out there. Like anytime I come online and I see like videos where they're like, oh, the dating world today sucks and it's worse than it's ever been. Objectively, I could go back in time and think about all the times when dating sucked for me in the 90s. In the early 2000s. I can look at like stories my mom's told me about her dating and how it was for her in terms of some of the guys on campus being outright creeps, Like you can look back on every single piece of history and see that there have been women and men that have sucked and that dating's been hard across the board, I think about the fact that early 2000s, me in college, social media, like MySpace came about in like 2003, okay? So prior to that, there wasn't social media. So admittedly, there weren't a high abundance of choices as there is now. Like now, you can get onto your phone app and find somebody that lives in your town or a few states over or in other countries and talk to them. That wasn't really a thing we could do back then, but that didn't mean that of the people we could find in our area, that we couldn't also find people that would use us or abuse us or mistreat us or reject us or talk down on us. Like that stuff has always existed. But I stress this because just like problems in dating have always existed, good people have also existed. So when I see things on social media, that are like that, I just think, oh, they're trying to get clicks. That's awesome. But I've always been a believer that the things you focus on and the things that you think about are the results you get. So for example, if I'm in a relationship that's going great and I start thinking about, but what if she's cheating on me? What if she doesn't want to talk to me, blah, 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 then I find I end up bringing that energy to the situation and then those things happen. Or, oh, she probably will find a better guy than me because I just totally suck. And then what happens? We break up. She finds a better guy. Why? Because I talked it into existence. And so what I want to stress for you guys is that your dating life right now may totally suck. When I was in my early 20s, I was having a bad time dating, but I also realized that if I'm being honest, a part of that was I already went into college, for example, based on my high school experience, thinking women would not want me. I'm too goofy. I'm too weird. I'm whatever. I'm not going to get women. That colored how I saw my dating life. So when women came around when I was like age 20 and 21, that actually in hindsight were showing interest, I was so stuck on the girls don't want to date me train that I completely was oblivious to it. And I completely missed out. And I had to have friends later on in my life point out to me that the girls in this dorm liked me and girls over here liked me. And there were times I actually got dates, but then I wouldn't follow up with them for future dates. Like that was all me. But because my lens of the world was so negative about women liking me, then that's what I ended up speaking out. And then when women would show me interest, what would I do? I would talk into existence what I thought, which was, no, this can't be real. This girl can't want me. And then I would do stuff. They'd go away. Oh, look, I was right. Oh, girls suck. But that was my efforts, So that's what I think. So I try to keep things positive these days. I see those posts. I'm just like, I don't really want to get into that. I don't want to read that. That's nothing. So I just leave it alone. So hopefully that answers that comment. Let's see, moving on. And by the way, guys, like I said, if you have any questions you want to ask me during the course of the show, you can leave it in the comments in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them. We have another question that I got this week. So this guy had an interesting question. He said, so I'll preface this by saying this. I've said before to you guys that if you start dating a woman and it's like during the holidays or her birthday or your birthday comes up, my general rule is that until she becomes the girlfriend, you should not be the one to initiate giving out gifts. If you started dating her at the beginning of December and Christmas comes up, you are not the boyfriend yet. You guys don't owe each other gifts. So I typically tend to steer clear of that. And I've said before, if it so happens that she gets mad at that, then that's a good time to bring up, but we're not in a relationship. Are you saying you want to be in a relationship? And that can open up the convo to potentially getting into a relationship, albeit you don't want to do that at like the 1 month mark, but around like 2 or 3 months, that could tend to happen. Be on the lookout for that, right? So this guy had a question in relation to that. He said, the girl I'm dating invited me to her birthday. We already hooked up and we were already on our 6th date. Is it okay to give her a gift on her birthday, especially because she also gave me one during Christmas? So this is where the game changes up a bit. And so, the stuff that I teach you guys, it's not stuff that's set in stone because you have to basically morph it based on your own situation. So yeah, if you were in fact dating a girl and Christmas comes up, You wouldn't typically get a gift, in part because we don't want you doing things that's going to make her feel like you're applying pressure to her for this to be a relationship. And giving gifts too early can make a woman feel like that, right? But what is the difference in the situation here? The difference is that, one, they've been on 6 dates, but more importantly, she already broke the gift giving. She initiated the gift giving first, right? And so because she did it first, what that should signal to you is she's at a level that's comfortable enough with you to where she's already starting to develop high feelings. And as a result, she's already wanting to buy you stuff. If she's already broken the barrier of buying you stuff, then and that's a case where it's now perfectly fine to get her a gift for Christmas or birthday because she initiated it. If you initiated it, it may be too soon. But because she did that, you can use her giving you a gift as a barometer for, oh, her interest level has gone up quite a bit. That's a good sign. So now you giving a gift isn't going to look like the pressure cooker that it would be had she not given a gift. So I would say, yes, it's perfectly fine. Go ahead and do that. But even with that, don't make it some grandiose gift. We're not trying to do like $50 gifts or $100 dinners for her birthday. Like, keep it short and sweet. Hey, this is just show my appreciation, because again, you're still not the boyfriend. So there still has to be some kind of level of, the gift that you're giving shouldn't be something that's going to be so high in value that's going to make her feel pressured to be in a relationship. That's always going to be the balance, right? So in terms of you giving a gift now that she's already given one, yeah, get her something nice, a set of flowers, a card, something that kind of reminds you of her, but that's under like $25. Like, it ain't got to be expensive. She'll just be happy that you got her anything. Also, I don't know how much it costs the gift that she got you, but whatever the cost is of what she got you, don't spend more than that. Just saying. So hopefully that helps you out. All right. As always, guys, if you have any questions you want to ask me, you can ask them in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Let's see, this next question. I got this from a guy that I've been coaching in my academy. So when you join the Get Girls Academy, part of what comes with that is you guys have access to email me, and I try to get back to you guys within 24 to 48 hours. For those in the academy this week, it was my birthday week. I've been doing stuff, so I may not have been as easily able to get to you, but like that's kind of over for now. So I'll be back to the regular schedule. But yeah, we also have twice a month get-togethers on the Zoom meetings and stuff, which I'll be putting forth within the next week or so for the group. So anyway, with that said, so I have a question that I got asked from one of my coaching clients, and he's dating a girl, and they've been dating for a while. There's been some texting situations going on where he wasn't sure what the level of texting should be, and then if he's not texting enough, what that's going to mean, and all this other stuff, right? I just find across the board, most people don't actually want to text. Like, I found talking to women, they don't mind texting the guy that they're with, but they'd really rather do most of their talking in person. And I wish more guys knew that, because then they wouldn't put so much effort forth or so much worry forth about if they're texting or not texting enough. So this guy said, so the girl I've been dating has been texting me here and there. Honestly, almost more than she texts me when she's actually here in the States. Well, that's a good thing. Here's the thing. Like, again, I don't like to use texting as a barometer for a woman's affections, but I also don't want guys to feel like if their woman goes on vacation or out the country, that if they're not texting her a whole lot, that she's going to punish them. Because on the one hand, we want the woman to be able to enjoy where she's at without feeling obligated to have to hit you up. Because if they feel obligated, what they're basically feeling is like, oh, I don't want to hurt his feelings. Like, I love him, but he's not going to know it unless I text him, because he needs that reassurance. And as a guy, I'll say this, women find guys hotter that already are self-assured in themselves. So for example, if I'm dating somebody and they go off someplace and they're gone for like 3 or 4 days or 5 days or whatever, I'm not the guy that's going to sit there being like, it's been 4 days, she hasn't texted me, oh my God, because I'm confident she still likes me. I'm like, oh, she's out of town, she's in front of other people. If she's on a work trip, she's got work stuff to do. If she's with her friends, she's trying to hang with her friends. Like, so I want her to have a good time. If she wants to hit me up, that's great, but I'm not going to judge her poorly if she doesn't, because I know when I'm on vacation, I don't want to be texting a lot. I don't want to be calling a lot. Even though, like, when I'm going out of the States and stuff, or like out of the country, I'll call my mom like every day. If I'm dating somebody, I may hit them up every so often. But again, I like not feeling obligated to do that as well, right? So with that said, he's noticing that this girl has been texting him more since she's been on vacation. Why do you think that is? It's because, as I've said before, when women like you, they help you. And what'll happen is, again, even though we're not going to judge her for how much she's texting, it's interesting how often women that like you will reach out to you if you're not the one that's always trying to initiate text. And that's what I talk about, is that in terms of texting, it should be 3-to-1. She should be initiating text 3 times more than you are. Now, when she hits you up, obviously that at that point, you're going to respond back and have a bit of a banter. But yeah, we want this to be happening. We want her. And so she's doing this now because she's out of the States. But if he keeps up this behavior, when she gets back, that behavior will stay the same. She will continue to be the one that reaches out more than he has to. And that is the program you want to be on. Like, our job as the guys is to start up the courtship, to ask for the dates, to let her know, oh, I'm really in this. I want to get to know you. I like you, etc. At the point that women match your interest and then goes to higher, I got news for you. They're going to be doing most of the calling and the texting and the reaching out, all the other stuff. Like, every guru I know on YouTube says this exact same thing. Doc Love says it. Corey Wayne says it. I say it, that, yeah, because we've all experienced that when we learn to let go of the texting thing and give it to them, they will reach the freak out. Anyway, so he says, I don't mind. I'll text back hours later because we have always had that dynamic. Good. Consistency is key. However you started texting her in the beginning, if that starts to deviate, it's going to look weird for her and feel weird. So if you weren't texting all that much in the beginning, don't think you got to jump on board and like initiate a whole lot of text now. He says, yesterday she sent me a voice message and I said to myself, let me just see what happens if I don't respond for a whole day. This afternoon, I replied, and now she has sent me some voice messages that I have not listened to. But my question is what do you recommend in regards to replying as little as possible? I like staying mysterious, but also don't want to neglect her as well, as scarcity creates value, which I want, of course. But I'm wondering, if I take long times to reply, is that a bad thing? We've gone over texting situations while on vacation that you have made plenty aware of, but did it ever happen to where you found a happy medium? Though it's not something I'm sweating over, I would just like to know for future references, because honestly, I don't want to text. So what I want to clarify what I talk about in reference to texting, right? So what I always tell you guys is that she should be the one initiating text more often. So for every 3 texts that she initiates, you would initiate your own text 1 time, like a brand new chat chain or whatever, right? But that's not in reference to responding. So how I operate is this. If the woman texts me like, hey, cutie, or hey, what's going on, blah, 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 blah. There are some times where if I'm honestly busy, I'll wait at like anywhere from like 20 minutes to like an hour or 2 hours to respond back if I can't get to my phone right away. If I'm able to get to my phone right away, then if she texts me, I may wait like anywhere from like 30 seconds to like 2 minutes before I respond back. Oh, hey, just, doing whatever. What's up with you? And then at that point, again, I stress, because she initiated the conversation, all I'm doing now is I'm responding to the initial text. And then at that point, I know it's going to sound weird, right? Coming from me, it's okay to have a bit of banter. Why? Because now she's your girlfriend. And so it's different in the dating phase where I say, like, when she hits you up, chances are it's because she wants to see you, at which point you're saying, hey, nice to hear from you, blah, 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 blah. Hey, by the way, what are you doing on this day? I want to take you out, right? Well, when you're at the point that you're in a relationship, you're going to see each other pretty regularly. Like, probably it's going to go from like once or twice a week to like 3 or 4 times a week. That's actually surprisingly normal. One of those days should be for a date. The other ones may just be she comes over your house to kick it, or you guys decide to have a lunch together, whatever. And so in terms of responding back to her with text, you don't have to worry as much about if you're having a back and forth text. Like, if she texts you and then you text her back and then she texts you back and then you text, that could go on for like 5 or 6 or 7 messages. That's totally fine. It might be you end up texting her back and forth for like 20 or 30 minutes, because if she were to pick up the phone, it'd be a 20 or 30 minute conversation. That would be totally normal. All right. The goal though is this. Here's where guys mess up, right? Is they think at the point that a woman reaches out to them, now they got to have an all-day conversation. And then so what'll happen is, let's say you send her a text back, and then she sends you a text back, and then you send a text back, and then she sends like a ha, 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 right? At that point, guys are thinking, I got to continue the conversation. The problem is either A, the guy doesn't know that it's okay to just drop the conversation, or they get weirded out when she suddenly stops the conversation. And that's the situation with texting, is that texting is ultimately a never-ending conversation that has these long pauses in between it. So, for example, your girl might hit you up at like 9 a.m, right? So you respond back to a text, and then she responds back maybe an hour later. Then you respond back 5 minutes later. Then she responds back 30 seconds later. Then you respond back 45 minutes later, and then it just kind of stops. And then it might stop until the next day when she initiates another text to you. That's actually a normal way to go about texting. So I don't want you to think that every time she initiates a text that you got to go a whole day or several hours without texting her back. She's your girlfriend. So if she texts you and you're able to text, it's perfectly fine to be like, hey, babe, what's up? I just don't want you to get to the habit of thinking you have to text back right away every time. Because if you're legit busy, then it should be perfectly fine for you to not get back to her until you're actually able to get near your phone. What we don't want is you doing that and then your girl freaking out like, how come you didn't text me right away? So it doesn't sound like you have a girl that's going to freak out if you don't text back right away. That means you have a girl in your hand that has a good balance of knowing that sometimes you're able to text right away and sometimes that's not possible. And so as long as you know that you have that balance, then you can be a smidge more lax on texting. But again, we still want it to be on averaging about the 3-to-1 ratio in terms of her initiating. You responding at the point that you respond, it's fine to have a little back and forth banter with her, especially if she's on vacation. She's reaching out to you because she misses you and she wants to know about your day and how you're doing. So if she's reaching out, most of the time girls will reach out and say stuff like, hey, cutie, hey, sweetie, what's going on? Hey, just thinking about you. All you gotta do is respond back, hey, babe, was just thinking about you. How's your trip going? Boom. She'll be floored that you thought about her. You said enough without saying too much. She knows you care about her. Oh, I'm just, hanging with the girls and today, just thinking about you. Hey, babe, I miss you too. You know what? I can't wait till you get back. I'm planning some cool stuff. She'll respond like, oh, that's so cute. That's awesome. Then you respond back like, oh man, I'm about to go hang with the boys for a bit, but hey, you know what? I'll be sure to chat with you later. Still thinking about you. Boom, you're done. You had a 5-minute conversation. You made it feel great. And now you can go about your day. And if she hits you up later, great. If not, again, you're not going to punish her for that because she's on vacation, but you can do a little bit more texting now that you're in a relationship. Just follow what I've just told you and you should be good. So hopefully that helps you out. Appreciate the compliments in there. You're amazing, coach. Thanks. Appreciate it. This guy says the text part I have down well, I feel, but I've been putting off the reply time as of late. Just want to see if there were any pros or cons. I mean, ultimately, look, like I said, if you're setting up a certain texting pattern now that she's already used to, then there's going to be no repercussions. The repercussions come when you start doing things that you weren't doing. So if you were not texting all that much to start, and now you start going overboard with texting, then it's adding pressure, but also women are like, wait, this isn't what I signed up for. I signed up for subconsciously. I signed up for a guy that wasn't going to make me feel pressure by not texting me all the time. And this guy's doing that. So I say ultimately that in terms of your reply time, it's not that there's necessarily going to be punishment. It's just, the reason I put like the whole texting like women like a boss book out and that I talk about texting so heavily is because most guys are messing this up by over texting, but they do that because they think they have to. I just want to get you out of the mind frame of thinking that you have to text nonstop because, hey, like I said, I'm not a big texter. In my relationships, in my dating scenarios, I am not a big texter. I let women know that. Women will come to me after like the third date. So I notice you don't text a whole lot. And understand too, that women are also being trained to want all this texting, but they really don't. So on some level, they might come to you and be like, hey, so I noticed you don't text me a whole lot. And then my response when that happens is, okay, so like, do you feel like I don't like you or appreciate you? Well, no. Okay, so we going on dates. Like, are we having a good time? Are we having good hookups? Like, do you feel our communication is pretty good? I mean, yeah. Okay, so like, I've never been a big texter because I don't like to have miscommunications. And I found through text that sometimes that happens. Wouldn't you rather me know exactly what I'm saying when I'm saying it to you verbally in front of you with the facial expressions versus like on a phone? Well, I mean, I guess. Okay. And then like, hey, when you come over here, like, are I showing you like all the attention? I mean, yeah. So I'm able to get women to see that like their request is stupid. Like, all this texting I could be doing is not going to amount to how good I'm going to make them feel in person. And the goal is to see them 4 times a week to where they don't have to hear from me all the time because they're seeing me a good amount of time, And so I found by doing that just, I don't have to do that. And then later on, girls will be like, oh yeah, like they actually appreciate the fact that I don't text them all that much or that it's not required of them to text me, because I'll be real, women have been in situations with previous dudes before you that have made them feel bad for not texting, and then they felt obligated to do it, and then they felt like they were less than, and then they got annoyed by it, and then they start ghosting the guy. And none of those guys will ever learn that the reason the girl ghosted is because she didn't want to text all that much, and even though he tried to pressure her into it, that wasn't what she wanted to do. Most girls don't. So yeah, so I say ultimately there's not really any major cons to that. Like, if you're keeping your texting consistent by keeping it low in the first place, then there's nothing to have to deal with, if that makes sense, you know? So hopefully that answers your question. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get to the meat of today's show. So let me pull up my screen here, add this to the stage. So today we are talking about how to avoid turning your partner into a roommate. And what sparked this conversation was this lady right here, actress and Honest Company spokesperson, Jessica Alba. And so she's been married to this guy named Cash Warren, and they are now allegedly, because it's currently rumored to be happening, that they've been separated and that they're being seen around town without their rings on. But yeah, they are allegedly getting a divorce. And so in this, I saw this Page 6 article where the headline read that Jessica Alba admitted that she and her husband were more like roommates before divorcing. And so I want to go ahead and talk about this because I think it's important for you guys as you're getting into relationships to not allow this to happen to you. So let me see if I can find that article. Oh, here we go. Okay, go. So here is the story. So it says, this wasn't so fantastic for their marriage. I love puns in articles. Jessica Alba confessed that she and her now estranged husband, Cash Warren, were more like roommates years before the news of their divorce shocked fans on Friday. The Good Luck Chuck actress made the revealing comment about her relationship on Katherine Schwarzenegger's Instagram show Before, During, and After Baby in July 2021. So let's just pause for a second. So when she went on this person's podcast and brought up the whole like, oh, we're more like roommates thing, what the guy didn't know was that was a warning flag. Like, a woman should never be telling her friends, her family, or anybody, we feel more like roommates, because roommates is not romantic. Roommates is very platonic, and roommates will eventually have your girl thinking, why am I still with this guy? I want romance. I want a spark. I want to feel sexually attracted to the guy that I'm with. I want to feel that love connection. Roommates is the same thing as saying, oh, you're my best male friend and you're in the friend zone. So that was already a warning. Clearly this guy didn't get it, but we'll continue on. So then the article says, she says, quote, it's all rosy for 2.5 years, but then after that, you become roommates. So she's referring to like the first 2 years of marriage. It's all great. It's all lovey-dovey. And then roommates. She says, you're just going through the motions. You have the responsibilities. It's a lot of like checking the boxes, right? So she's basically looking at her life with her husband now as a checklist. Okay, got to do this, got to do that, feed the kids. Will we have sex tonight? We'll see about that. Will we have a date night? I'm not sure. Like, it just becomes this thing of checking off boxes. The problem with that is that for women are fine with like planning out things, but they don't want to feel like their life is a checkbox, because then it's almost like it becomes this is my obligation. And granted, if you're marrying somebody, you're saying to the world, we're obligated to care for each other and whatnot. But women still want to have the feeling of like it's their choice versus an obligation. When it's a woman's choice and she's choosing you all the time, then that to her means that there's romance there, there's chemistry, there's connection, because those things are propelling her to want to be around you and feel things and do things for you. When it's an obligation, that feels forced, which makes a woman think, I feel like I'm forced to do all this stuff. That doesn't feel romantic. That doesn't feel like I have chemistry with this guy. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. So then it says, elsewhere in the conversation, the Dark Angel alum admitted that she often took their partnership for granted. She says, we have like, obviously the friendship, the comfort of like, you're not going anywhere. And so sometimes you don't treat those people the best, right? What she just said is very telling, okay? What she said unintentionally is, I don't treat my husband well. And why is that? It's because of the first sentence where she says, I have the comfort of thinking you're not going anywhere. So this is why I stress to you guys the important thing about women need to feel as though you are the kind of guy that is willing to walk away from a situation that is no longer serving you. Because if you don't give her that feeling, then she will spend the relationship resenting you and walking all over you and not treating you right, because they're going to think they're going to take you for granted and be like, I'll treat him however, because he's going to stay around. No matter what I do, what I say to him, how I treat him, he'll be here. So why should I care? And women need to know that you care. Women need to know that you have the backbone to be like, if you're not acting the way I need you to, if you're not showing respect, the door's right there. I'll be over there near the door and then I'll be out of it. And what unfortunately with a lot of guys, because they're not in the habit of getting a whole lot of women, they get on somebody like Jessica Alba, who in her heyday was one of the most attractive actresses out there. And they'll think to themselves, this is the best I can get. I can't screw this up. And as soon as you have, I can't screw this up energy, women can feel that and they know that they have the advantage. But women in the long term don't want to have the advantage. They don't want to be the one that's pedestalized. They don't want to be the one that's taking charge and leading the family, because they end up feeling this stuff where they're like, he's not going anywhere because I'm the hot stuff. So what do I care? And then the downfall begins. So then she says, quote, you don't consider their feelings in the way that you would consider other people's feelings. So that is something that I think is a constant one to work on. She shared that the duo attempted to work through their problems by confronting issues and, quote, being able to communicate when they're unhappy. Now, what have I told you guys about communication? People think that communication means, well, I'll say my thing and then they'll say their thing and we'll both shut up and listen to what the other person is saying, and that's good communication. Good communication is not about hearing the words that the other person said. It is about interpreting what they said in a way that that other person intends you to interpret it. So for example, if she comes home and says, I'm tired of you not taking out the trash, is he hearing that, oh, I need to help around the house more? Or is he hearing, so she's saying that she didn't appreciate that I was at work all day and that I had to work too, my butt off, and I come home and maybe I forget the trash. She's not taking into account how my day went. In that case, people's interpretations and them being selfish about that are resulting in miscommunications happening. So you have to be mindful that if you're in a relationship and your woman comes to you and communicates something to you, again, guys are very bad because in terms of like reading communication or what they mean, because we read surface level. If she comes to you and says, I'm not happy, we haven't gone on a date in like a week, what she's trying to say is, I'm not feeling as close to you and I want to get some alone time one-on-one with you so we can make that reconnection. If all you hear is, I don't take you out enough and I'm not spending money on you and you don't appreciate my efforts, now there's going to be a miscommunication because what she's saying, you're hearing, but you're not taking it in the way that it needs to be taken. And I think, honestly, a lot of people come into relationships with some level of guard. Like they're always thinking, on one hand, I want this to work out, and I assume this person cares for me, but there's also part of them that's like, but that person's just about themselves and they're going to try to attack me at any given moment. So when a woman comes to you and puts out a legitimate complaint, you may end up reading it as an insult or as an attack against you or your manhood or all this other stuff. And then you want to try to fight her back. And now she's thinking, why is he yelling at me? And now she's got to protect herself. And then it ends up being a clash. So this is when people say like, we are communicating, but are you listening to your partner? And this is why it's good to do this exercise. If you're ever in a disagreement with somebody and you're thinking, I feel attacked, I feel hurt or whatever, stop, take yourself out of it and just ask them, or when they say a thing to you, repeat back to them what they said and what you think they said. So if she came to me, we haven't gone on any date nights and you don't take me out anymore, blah, blah, blah. I would be like, so what I'm hearing is, so what you're saying is, you're saying that I don't take you out. And for women sometimes, they'll say stuff that's hyperbole, meaning like it's not exactly true. Like you may have taken her out to like, get some Chick-fil-A last week and you're thinking, I take you out, but this isn't about exactest language, okay? You gotta, as a guy, we're gonna always want to say the exact thing. It's not gonna happen sometimes with women, right? So she says the thing of like, you don't take me out enough, blah, 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 blah. I'd be like, so what I'm hearing is that you're feeling as though I don't take you out enough and you're not feeling special as a result of that. Or you're saying that we're not having the connection time that we used to have that I would show you by going out. That's what I hear that you're saying. At that point, she can say, well, yeah, that's what I meant. Or she could say, well, that's not exactly what I meant, this and that. But you want to nail down to a T the exact feeling tone that she is trying to get out to you. Because sometimes with women, when they're feeling things, they're not always the best at being able to verbalize the feeling that they're trying to tell you, because they can't think of the words to match up that feeling. And so that's where you got to go into detective mode and ask them, so I'm hearing this, does it mean this? And then through that exercise, they'll eventually be able to be like, yeah, that's exactly what I mean. When she does that, be okay, great. So I hear what you're saying. And you know what? I thought that us going to Chick-fil-A last week was us spending time together, but I could see that like maybe that's not enough effort. So we could work on what that looks like for you in terms of how we can go forth scheduling date nights and doing things, because I do really appreciate you and I want to make sure that you are feeling that. That's how you have better communication is, rather than trying to attack them back when they give something to you, say, wait a minute, this is what you said, right? This is what I'm feeling you mean. Is that accurate? Okay, here's my side of things. Here's how I'm interpreting what you're saying. How can we come to a happy medium? That's far better communication than just listening to words. So anyway, she says, she's a lot. It wasn't immediately clear why the pair decided to end things and the rest. Okay, so yeah, so you get the point, right? So, but this speaks to a bigger issue of the fact that a lot of men find themselves in a situation where they end up feeling like roommates with the person that they're dating. So get my notes up here real quick. Because I want to talk about like how this kind of stuff happens in the first place, right? So to start off with, you got to understand that in the beginning of a relationship, there's going to be what's called the honeymoon phase. And that phase can last anywhere from like the first 3 months all the way to like the first 2 years. Like she said, her first 2 years of marriage were blissful and amazing. And then roommate land. But yeah, in the honeymoon phase, there's going to be all this excitement, all this passion, this nonstop. If you're getting the right girl, nonstop hookups, constant lovey-dovey eyes. There shouldn't be a whole lot of problems popping up in the first 6 months to a year or so. And then even if you do, you're trying to settle it quickly because you want to get back to the lovey-dovey stuff, and it's all great, right? And so, but the reason that phase happens is because that's designed to help you all solidify how you feel about each other. So that way, when bad times do arise, you can think back and say, but ultimately, I know this person cares for me. I know they love me, etc., because we've had those great times. And women will keep those good times and reflect on those. And that'll make it easy for her to want to get back with you, her want to resolve issues with you, because overall, in those first 2 years, your time's been so great that this one little hiccup's not going to be a thing, right? But then what happens? Over a period of time, it goes from like being a dynamic where you're showing each other affection and this lovey-dovey and it's all new and it's spontaneous and you've never experienced it before, to becoming routine. At some point you literally are checking boxes, whether it's like, oh, okay, we got another date night this week. We're probably going to this restaurant, or, oh, okay, I said it's my turn to do the kitchen dishes. I'll do the dishes in the kitchen, or, oh, it's, you took out the trash last week. Now it's my turn. And so what can happen is if you're in a long-term relationship, you'll start to get a routine. I know as an older guy, my routine here is if I'm not doing this show, I'll eat some dinner. I'll go to my room. I'll play some games. I'll watch my late night shows. So I watch Colbert. I watch Seth Meyers. I watch The Daily Show. And then I'll go to sleep. And I can do that routine nonstop every single day. If I'm with somebody, I could bring her into that routine, or maybe we add an extra thing to that routine. But we could get into doing the same thing over and over and over again. And that's not the worst thing, because on some level, you want to have consistency. And just in the doldrums of day-to-day, as you get older, you're doing a job, you're coming home. Like that's going to be a thing where you just want to get home at the end of the day and just do a routine that you know about that gets you to sleep. But that is no excuse for you as the guy not thinking and saying, well, wait, we still got to do our date nights. And we can't just go to the same restaurant. So I got to find some new stuff to take us to. If we're doing, hooking up, we can't do the same positions. I got to wear some stuff. She's got to do some different angles. Like, you still want to throw stuff in there, because in a long term, if you don't do that, then yeah, it's going to start feeling like you're just doing a routine, and routines become monotonous. Like, picture if I just did this show where I talked like this the entire time and I didn't change my vocal tone and didn't do any kind of movements with my hands, and I just talk like this and I start to sound like a robot, and I do this for 2 hours straight. You would find it really annoying after a time. That's the feeling tone that women get when you just start to just do and do and do, and you're not like adding anything new to the pot. Like, you should be trying to find new things to get into with your woman 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. If you're not, then it's going to be very easy to get in a routine that starts to get boring and starts to make you feel like a roommate, okay? The other thing that starts to happen is that people start taking each other for granted. So for example, Jessica Alba talked about the fact that she wasn't always considering her partner's feelings. So she went from seeing this guy and meeting him and like he was the end all, the man of her dreams, all this other stuff. And then it goes from that to like, well, I don't always take him into consideration. But hey, if we're being honest, men on our side, we start doing things that make women see us as less than a knight in shining armor, We start farting around them. We leave the door open. We go to the bathroom. We're telling all kinds of rude, crude jokes, which, hey, some women, they like that stuff and that's great. But it's like you start basically treating her as if she's legitimately one of the guys. And you got to ask yourself, doing that, would it be any wonder why women would start to see you more like a roommate if you're treating her like one of the guys and not like a romantic partner? I'm a guy that, I'll be with somebody for 4, 5, 6 years. I will still walk out of the room if I have to pass gas, or if I'm having like a bathroom situation. I won't be like, I got to go take a real big load right now. I'll just be like, I got to go to the bathroom. Keep it simple, keep it plain. And it seems very subtle, but like women still want you to view them as women that you care enough about to try to put some effort forth to show her that you appreciate her and to show her that you're wanting to treat her like a lady. You treating her like one of the guys isn't doing that. And so when you bring that to the table, what can start to happen is she feels like you're taking her for granted. You go from like when she first started dating you, you were keeping a clean kitchen. Every time she came over, your place was clean, your place smelled amazing, your room was clean, your bathroom was whatever, to now you just have a junky house all the time. You're not cleaning up anything whatsoever. Like, these are the things that make her feel like she's getting taken for granted and start to have her view you as less than a romantic partner. And then also communication gaps. Obviously, we highlighted the thing about her and her husband like confronting issues, but still not being able to really like they're communicating, but there's a breakdown in that. And we talked a little bit about like the difference between you guys hearing the words that each other is saying versus legitimately like hearing what the complaints are. And I'll give it to women. Like, women have had to learn over time that men don't like directness and don't want to be nagged. So when they have a complaint, they'll come to us and do it in the most passive way possible that in their head is going to get their point across without sounding like an overbearing nag. And I've told you guys before that when women bring anything to your attention, we don't want women yelling at us or nagging at us. So they're going to come to you, hey, babe, I noticed the trash is still in the trash. What's up with that? It's simple. It's not naggy. But if your response is, I'll get to it. Guess what, guy? You are going to start to get a woman that's going to nag at you because she's trying to subtly tell you things that are bothering her or that she wants you to add to the relationship equation. And your response is, well, she's not yelling at me, so I'm just going to assume it's no big deal. It's always a big deal. But if you don't understand that, you're going to bypass all her big deals. And then one day she's just going to be like, screw it. I just don't ask her for anything anymore. Boom. Now you're the roommate. And it's because you weren't listening and you weren't taking in her communication as what she was saying and taking it more serious than you thought she was giving it to you, So in terms of preventing yourself from the same fate as Jessica Alba's husband, i.e. getting divorced or having a breakup with a long-term partner that feels like you're now a roommate, what can you do in order to make sure this does not happen? I will give you a few tips to save your relationship because that's what you want. So to start off with, prioritize your romantic connection. These are things like, for one, keeping regular date nights. That will never go away. If you're with her for 30 years, once a week, like clockwork. Now, I get it. Some of you, I'm not having kids. So for some of you guys that have kids, it might not be once a week. It might be once every 2 weeks, or even, God forbid, once a month until the kids get a little bit older and you can leave them with a babysitter. But you want to make sure that you as the guy are consistently showing her that you're going to be planning these date nights. You're making them special. Some will be dinners. Some will be comedy shows. Some will be new things you haven't done before. You're going to mix it up. You're not going to go to the same old place. And honestly, I've seen enough long-term relationships to know that there'll be a point in time where women will just be like, hey, we can go to the same old Denny's we always go to. I just want to talk to you. But the important thing is get her out the house and do something that shows her that you're still putting effort forth even all these years later. That way she'll feel like you are still also trying to keep a romantic connection going. If you let work or jobs or busy things get in the way, it doesn't matter what's getting in the way. The excuse is not going to make her feel like, oh, he's able to neglect me, but it's because of work, so I'm cool with that. I still feel romantic feelings. women are judging you based off their feelings. So if you're not doing things, she's going to start feeling like you're neglecting her, and she's going to lose interest. So make time to have you and her uninterrupted time, and that's going to help you keep the spark alive. Another thing, continue to flirt. Continue to be playful with your woman. I think dudes in particular, we get into relationships and then we want to be serious all the time. We have a serious conversation about this and about that. And then once she becomes the mother of your children, it's like, well, she's the mother and I'm the father and this and that. And then so you forget to do simple things like walk by her in the kitchen and slap her butt. Or, flirt with her through text and say, I can't wait to get home and eat your cooking and whatever else is in the house. Wink, wink, hint, hint, like you guys need to still be doing that stuff, because you incorporating those sexy things, those playful touches, the sexiness and stuff like that, that's going to constantly keep her on her toes and have her thinking like, oh, he still sees me as somebody that's worth pursuing. And I get it. I tell you all the time, if she's chasing you, she can't be replacing you. But you got to understand the psychology of when you're touching her or flirting with her or doing stuff, she still feels like she's being pursued, even if she's going to be the one more often than not reaching out to you. So keep doing that. Don't let that go away no matter how long you've been with her. Another thing, surprises and thoughtful gestures. You still need to be like doing unexpected things. I know I talked about earlier, like being monotonous like this gets old and boring and women will eventually leave you because this is no fun. So yeah, I'm in LA. There's always stuff popping up when there's not fires happening. There's always stuff popping up that's new to do. Like, I was going to go to trap karaoke this past week, but because of the fires, they moved it up a few dates back. But like trap karaoke, I've been here 16 years. I've never done that. So it's like, oh, if I'm dating somebody, hey, we should do this thing. It's a new experience. It's different than old boring karaoke. We should try it out. Like there are always going to be things in your town, in your city that's popping up, whether it's concerts, new comedy shows, new restaurants, even like bowling activities, but like, oh, it's like night bowling instead of day. Like throw in sporadic things. You ain't got to do new stuff every single date, but like I'd say if you go out with your wife or wife or girlfriend 3 times a month, right? Have like one of those times be like a brand new thing or a brand new restaurant or just a brand new experience of some kind. You can take her on, whether it's a free or whether it's something you got to pay for, but that'll make her, again, feel like you're putting forth effort, which is really important. Women are all about a guy that they're with showing effort, in part because they know if they have a high interest in you, they're going to put forth so much effort. And all they're asking, again, it's a 3-to-1 ratio. Women are probably do things for you 3 times more. And all you got to do is do that one time and they're over the moon, and dudes will complain about that. And that'll turn into a roommate real quick. Anyway, the second thing, you need to be cultivating emotional intimacy. This means that, a lot of times when women are trying to communicate with men about just things they're going through, oh, I had a hard day at work today, or, oh, I'm trying to decide between this dress or this dress, but I can't decide which one. You know what guys will do? They'll look at that with a male brain and think, this is no big deal. And then they'll say it to her. Why do you care about which dress? It's just a party. It's no big deal. Well, she brought it up to you because it is a big deal. She was trying to be vulnerable with you in that moment. And you just said, oh, that's no thing. So over time, she's going to learn to not come to you with any questions or any opinions or any thoughts she may have. And that's going to, in time, start to build up resentment, which is going to make her feel less romantic feelings, which is going to cause her to feel like you are now a roommate. And you don't want that. So understand there are going to be many things that women bring to your attention that you're going to find dumb, stupid, not worth talking about. But she's opening up because she's trying to be vulnerable with you and her partner. And to her, you should be a safe space. Now, in terms of your vulnerability, I know I've talked a lot on the show about the levels of vulnerableness you can show with your partner. But suffice to say, there are going to be times when it's okay to open up to your partner about, you're having a bad day today because of whatever, or how you feel about you guys having kids together, what you think about like the neighborhood you're in, or like your parents died, how you feel about that. Like those conversations need to be happening versus you just bottling up everything and never talking to her. That's going to also make her feel like you don't want her around to be with you on those journeys. And she wants to be there for you. Another thing is that you have to learn to be her safe space, which means listening to her without harsh judgment. I know people say like, you can't judge. You can be totally judgmental about stuff, but understand that however she's coming to you about things, based on how she was raised and her life journey, how she's going to come to thoughts and feelings about things are going to inevitably be different than yours. That's totally fine. We want her to feel like she can be open. I've been in relationships where I've had to hear some amazingly outlandish things that I was like, oh my God, what the freak? But I've always had the look of like, okay, because I want women to be able to come to me to tell me stuff, in part because if they tell me some really, really bad stuff, I want them to feel so comfortable with me that they feel at some point they can tell me some really, really bad stuff to where if it's too bad, I know I can leave, but I wouldn't have gotten that information had I not been less reactive to some of the prior things. So that's why I try to keep it where it's like, I want women to feel like they can come to me. I'm not going to spread rumors about them or talk about their business with other people. And I'm not going to have these overreactions if they tell me some stuff that I'm just like, oh, that's interesting. Like if I was dating somebody that was like, oh, I voted for so-and-so in the election, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, how dare you? I would just be like, interesting. So like, what led you to that conclusion? Interesting. And then I could use that information and going forth, see how they're acting about other things, see if there's a correlation. But I make them feel as though I am easily the safest person they come to. I got friends that are like that too. Like I have secrets that my various friends have told me for years that if I were to tell them, I could ruin lives. But I don't want to do that. And also, I want my friends to feel like they can come to me. So I just want to be like, oh, tell me, interesting. Well, I don't have judgments. And so I've had friends of mine tell me stuff about their lives that they know if they went to other friends in our group, for example, that they'd be judged for it. Because I'm just the guy that's like, at the end of the day, you do what you do. We're all adults here, you know? But like, I want everybody that comes to me to feel like a safe space, because if they don't, then that's going to cause a woman to not trust you as much. And then that's going to lead to her not feeling romantic for you. And then lastly, I stress this again, break out of your routine. Do not get into a rut. If you feel yourself starting to get into a rut, find some way for you and her to get out of that rut, because a rut could start very easily at like year one. And if you don't course correct and try to put things in place to change stuff up when ruts happen, then by year 5, it's just rut city. You're just stuck in it, and nobody knows how to get out of it. And you as the guy or the leader. So she may not be cognizant of it. You have to be. So you have to be aware that a rut's coming. Or I'll be sitting, if I'm dating somebody, I'll be sitting around and be like, we're doing the same thing every single night, just coming home and doing this, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Tomorrow, we're going out someplace. Or tomorrow, instead of like just sitting around and just, playing video games, we'll, play some kind of sexy game, or we'll watch a movie, or we'll do something that's going to be out of the normal routine. Like, you have to be aware of that, because women, because of how they're raised, they may not want to say something directly to you about it. And they might not even notice that a rut's happening. They're just going to look up one day and be like, we do the same thing all the time. This isn't exciting. He feels more like a roommate now. And it'd be good if they were on it, and they should be, but you really got to be on that. Try to get out of ruts, continue to plan spontaneous things that are adventurous, that are fun, that are new, that are exciting. And that's going to allow her to continue to feel, again, that you're trying and you're giving her, in a long-term relationship, it can be very easy to just fall into the same things, to where everything feels mundane and the same. And so the fact that you're still bringing new stuff to the equation, trust me, you want your girl / your wife / whoever to be bragging about you in year 1, in year 5, in year 40. So that's just some stuff to keep in mind, right? Let's see if there's anything else here. Okay, we talked about the communication breakdowns. One thing I will say this is too, is that I don't think enough couples do this exercise, but my mom and my dad did this. My mom said that every 6 months they would sit down and they would talk about the relationship, and they would specifically talk about, okay, this is like a 6 month, like a tune in, like a checkup, So they would talk about, hey, so what things are still working for the relationship? What things do we not need anymore? Whether just because we grew out of it or we stopped liking it. Like, it's something as simple as like, I like going to this restaurant for a lot, and now I realize I don't like their food anymore, or I don't like their politics or whatever. So I don't want to eat there anymore. Or it could be something like, so we've been trying this sexual position, and I really realized I don't really like it. So what can we change about that? Or there could be something like, hey, I had an emotional need that I needed met, and I realized that the way you were trying to meet it, it really wasn't working for me. So we can try to fix what that is. So going forward, I feel like it's being paid more attention to, like doing those kind of checkups. You won't run into the habit of either person building resentment because you're thinking that the other person doesn't know what you want and doesn't want to do anything about it. So it's very good to keep tabs on your relationship. So if a rut's coming, you can say, hey, so it's been 6 months. In the past 6 months, I feel we've kind of come into a rut and a routine. And so I want to change that up. So what can that look like that's going to be reasonable for our budget and for our time, but that allows us to not be stuck in the same thing? Those are real conversations, because, hey, as much as you could love a person, the realities of getting into a rut and being mundane and then feeling like roommates is a very real thing. I've heard other couples beyond just Jessica Alba talk about that, okay? So be mindful of that. Be mindful that conversations need to be had. Be mindful to be aware of not doing things that are constantly repeats and not taking your partner for granted. And if you do those things, then you will find yourself able to keep your woman constantly pawing at you and constantly thinking that you're the best guy she's ever been romantic with instead of the best guy that she's now roommates with and feels nothing for. So hopefully that helps you guys with that situation. And that is all I got for that. So that's all I got, guys. It's 6:43. I'm hungry. I want some dinner. So I'm going to go attend to that. But thank you guys for checking this program out. If you like what you heard, Jesus, be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, youtube.com/Harry Wilmington. Go to harrywilmington.com to check out my ebooks, audiobooks, programs, and one-on-one coaching, all designed to help you be a better dater and get the women that you truly want. All right. Thank you guys for watching and listening. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Hey there, thanks for tuning in to Harry Dating Convos. Don't forget to visit harrywilmington.com to download my free ebook, Texting Women Like a Boss. And while you're there, if you're ready to take things to the next level with your dating life, check out the Get Girls Academy membership program for exclusive strategies and live coaching. Go to harrywilmington.com to learn more and join today. Lastly, if you've got a question you'd like answered on one of these shows, leave a comment below or write me at harrywilmington@gmail.com. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.